Good morning, everybody. How you doing? We are coming to you live. We have CVR World Cup postseason starting today. This is going to be the C-Zone race, and we are getting ready to kick things off here in just 3 minutes. Got a little bit of an echo in my ear that I have got to solve. And let's shut that down. And here we go, a little bit of info about the races today. We are doing the Roads to Ruins course. This is a 30K course. We're going to start out with a little bit of a flat section leading into this course. 18 miles, 30K, doing one lap. Once you get through this flat lead-in through the Ocean Road, you've got a nice big hill going up into a circle of the jungle and then back to start-finish. Getting up over that hump early in the race is going to be a challenge. And they will really be suffering. So we've got Zone C head-to-head matchups going on here. Tex Divine versus Rick Woods. These guys are going for the B bracket head-to-head here in Zone C. This ought to be a tough battle. Jason Flores versus Ryan Goldenberg. This is in the C bracket battle that we'll be watching today. And then we've got a ladies bracket battle here. Also Hilda Asperheim and Gail Anthony racing head-to-head in the B bracket for the ladies. We will also have Scott Arista versus Mark Cunningham in the D bracket, I believe. So those are going to be our head-to-head battles. The men are going to roll out here in a minute 25 and get things started off for us. For those of you that don't know, we've already got the field set for the finals coming up here in Vancouver. So a quick glimpse at what is going on there. Here we've got our finals bracket for the men set up here, the World Cup qualifiers. Gavin Dempster, James Phillips, Sadeo Akibe, Lionel Val Jason, Joan Grabdahl, Steve Young, Greg Leo, Scotty Weiss, Scott Cunningham, and Joachim Plujmers. Those guys are our live event guys for the finale in Vancouver. And for the ladies in Vancouver, we have Dixie Newsom, Beth York, Claudia Baring, Lucy Collins, Esther Meisels, Mary Wilkinson, Vicky Whitelaw, Allison Kubota, Jennifer Reel, and Jana Gillick. So those are our finale folks. Those guys have accepted their invitations to join us in Vancouver. Here we go, getting kicked off with the men in just about 10 seconds. So we're going to do our best to follow the head-to-head races today and focus on those. So we'll keep an eye on the head-to-head racers, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on at the front of the race as well. But if the head-to-heads are not at the front of the race, we will not be following those as closely. So here we go, getting right into it. Got Tex Divine here leading things out. And he is one of our head-to-head racers. Remember, he is racing against Rick Woods from Team Experimental. So I'm going to be a little bit biased today. I'm going to be cheering for Rick, as Rick is my teammate. And looks like they've gotten started out of here. And no big moves yet. But look at those ODZ jerseys. Anybody in here that is racing is going to have a hard time with the sea of ODZ. One thing I am not seeing, and maybe this is just an issue on my side, I am not seeing Rick Woods here in the panel. So we may not have a head-to-head battle with Tex, and then that means he just has to finish the race. So we've got Rick Woods here. Let's see if we can find some of our other... I see Ryan Kettleson right here. Ryan Kettleson is one of our head-to-head racers as well. Also wearing some ODZ team stuff. Ryan is going against Jason Flores today, also in Team ODZ colors. So I'm guessing the team is going to stay out of this battle since they are both wearing ODZ colors today, and let those two take it head-to-head themselves. I am also seeing Scott Arista here a little bit further back in the group, but I am not seeing his opponent. So I'm not sure that Scott will have anybody to battle here as well. We have the ladies race getting going here, so let's jump over to it real quick and see how that rolls out as well. In the ladies race, I am seeing Hilda Asperheim and S. Inslee rolling out of the pen here. I am not seeing Gail Anthony in this group, so Gail may not have made the start today, which will mean that as long as Hilda finishes the race, she will have control over this bracket and move on to the next round in the B bracket. So we'll keep an eye on that as the day goes on, as the race goes on. But it looks like we are gonna be focusing on a battle with Jason Flores and Ryan Goldenberg based on who we have starting today. So back over to the men. We'll see how these guys are at. So here we got Jason Flores and Goldenberg. Let's see if we can find Mr. Goldenberg here in the race. I'm going to use my mobile tools here to make it a little bit easier. Here we go. And I was mistaken earlier, I believe, when I saw Goldenberg with an ODZ jersey on. Goldenberg does not have an ODZ jersey on, so he is going to be a little bit outnumbered here with the crew that is here. I know Jason Flores is capable of holding on to a, what I would call a traditional A bracket type race. So this is going to be a tough race, I believe, at the front here. We do have a few guys streaming over at CVR World Cup, so thank those guys for those streams. We can, if you want to go over to cycleview.cvrworldcup.com, you can get a screen like you can see here on the left hand side, and you can see we have Scott Urista, and it looks like is this S. Inslee, I believe, that is also streaming over there and racing. So those are our streams that are up for today currently, and myself are over there if you want to go over there and check those out. We'll have more racers available over there as the day goes on. You can go over there and pick which racer you want to watch, cheer them on, chat with them, and interact with them over there. So in the men's race, kind of the way this course goes, they're going through the underground tunnel right now, through the Ocean Road Tunnel. They are going to come up a little kicker right here, which gets a little bit hard. What I find in this race is usually the hard effort starts here and it goes all the way up until we get into the tunnel. So big kick here. I'm going to keep things on Ryan and make sure that Ryan can stay in the pack here. Remember, Ryan is one of the head-to-head racers here, so he's going to have to kick it up and hold on to the group here, or he's going to be off the back right to begin with. So you can see here Ryan kicking it up. There's a gap forming here. This is trouble already for Ryan. He has got to sprint as hard as he can right now to get back onto this, or this long train in front of him is just going to go away. Ryan is digging here, 6-0, pushing as hard as he can. He's got to catch the back of this pack and hold on to it. Caught him sleeping a little bit here at the back of the pack, I think, as he would typically hold on to this a little bit cleaner than what he has here. But you can see that strung out pack in front of him. So even if he catches that last wheel, I think he's going to be in trouble because Jason Flores is not going to be at the back of that pack. I'm sure that he is going to be up near the front of that pack. And that is the case right now. It looks like Ryan Goldenberg has given up the chase on that pack. And now we have got a race up ahead here for overall glory in the race now. The head-to-head has split, and we'll see. Jason Flores has to make sure that he holds on to his teammates here. They have to treat him well, make sure he stays in the pack. Coming up here, you can see the mountain in front of him. These switchbacks going up the road, up the side of the mountain. They're going to go about halfway up that mountain and take a right turn onto the jungle course. That is also your path over to the Alp if you're not familiar with the Alp that they have put in over here. So these guys are going to dig up this climb. this is about a 3-4 minute effort up this hill. A pretty substantial climb getting up into here. So these guys are going to suffer here and probably open up this gap a little bit more. The 3 seconds behind here is not an insurmountable gap with the numbers that they have here. So there's still a good battle to go on at the front of this race. Real quick, while these guys hit the climb a little bit, check in quick with a side-by-side with the ladies. Hilda is got a 6-second gap over Inslee, just holding that gap. So wanted to make sure we were giving them a little bit of attention over there. They are working hard. Thanks guys for the comments. I am trying to keep an eye on. We had to get the race kind of started there and get settled into our groove, but I am seeing comments at both Mixer and Facebook, so I appreciate that over there. Steven Ludendorff, give me a status on your race. Steven, I do not know the finishing of the A bracket that happened in the previous race. So Steven, if you're out there, let me know. I believe it was you and Jeff racing one another, and I do not know the finishing status of that one, and if you could give me that, that would be super awesome. For those of you that don't know, these are going on every 3 hours throughout the day, and we got a little kick here at the front, so let's kind of see let's watch what's separating out here. We've got some +1S riders on up the road. Sito Mizutani, Vitor Mateus. So Tex Divine is going to be one of our first bracket guys in this race. Got a few guys stretching it out in front of him. Ryan Kettleson, Boyko, Andy Jenner, J-Flo here, bringing up a little bit further back. Ryan Goldenberg is only 28 seconds back from that, so still not an insurmountable gap here if you can get a team together and get pushing together. Jason Flores has some teammates with him. They seem to be sticking with him and focused to that, but they are not a large group at this point. Okay, Jeff won the head-to-head bracket earlier today. Thanks for that update, Steven. Best of luck next time, buddy. I understand sometimes it's not, you gotta have the right skills for the right courses, and good luck sometimes as well. So these guys are just about up to the intersection where they're going to turn left into the jungle circuit. Up here at front, we've got some names that we recognize. Mizutani, Vitor Mateus, +1S riders, J Match. Tex Divine is just a little bit off of this. Tex has Andy Jenner, Boyko, Kettleson, Flores about 5 seconds behind. Looks to me like Tex is going to back off and get back in there with that pack of his teammates. And then it looks like Goldenberg is about 44 seconds back from that. Ryan's got to really dig here to close that gap now. So as the men are getting up into this jungle circuit, let's see if we can look at a few of these brackets here. So I am trying to find some brackets here that we want to look at. Here it is. So what has already happened today, and let's get a little bit of screen swapping going in here. You can see here on the left hand side of the screen, this is the men's A bracket. We don't have anybody racing in the A bracket within the C zone today, but already occurring this morning was this first head-to-head, Steven Ludendorff against Jeffrey Creel. Jeff won that in a sprint. Steven has updated us on that, so thank you, Steven. So Jeff Creel will move on next week to face the winner of either Jim McQuaid or Greg Buckles, who will race in, looks like Zone D, which is coming up here in just about 3 hours. So as you can see, there's head-to-head brackets going, or on head-to-head races going on all day long. So they are the next up in the head-to-heads. Also already happening this morning, and I know this based on my team information, is we have Jeff Rooney and Michael Richter that has already happened this morning, and we're getting a little bit of bouncing around on the Zwift screen. Can't control that too much, so hopefully it doesn't get too bad. But Jeff Rooney has beaten Michael Richter. big team turnout in Jeff's favor. And guys, if you're doing these head-to-heads, make sure you get your friends and your teammates out there to help you. I know it made a difference for Jeff this morning. Kim Little and I believe Joachim Plujmers came out and pulled Jeff around the course and got him the win over Michael Richter. And then Tex Divine looks like he's going to take the win over Rick Woods today, as Rick has not been able to make it to this race. Later today in Zone E and Zone H, we will see the bottom half of this. Go Mati Pekelny. I met Mati in LA, so excited for these guys, the brackets, to come out the rest of the day. Looks like we're going to have to follow along with the ladies race here a little bit, and I'm going to restart as I'm getting some pretty significant rider dropouts here. So apologize for that. Zwift, we need a racer mode. Get us a racer mode so we can, we want spectator mode so we can watch these guys without bouncing around. So guys, these head-to-head battles, while we're watching Hilda climb up the climb here, a little bit about these head-to-head battles. It does not matter where you finish in the race as far as placings, as long as you finish ahead of the person that you're doing a head-to-head battle against. So you do not need to chase somebody who goes off the front. You only have to measure yourself against the other riders within your head-to-head. So if you're going head-to-head with somebody, you can race a lot differently than if you were trying to just flat out win a race. So you will see here a lot of different strategies will come to play out in the head-to-head racing. And we did get our Zwift back here, and it'll take a second to pop in. There we go. And so you can see the gap here now in the men's race. Ryan Goldenberg unfortunately falling off the back early in this one, and Jason Flores has surrounded himself with teammates here. You can see Team ODZ has pretty much put him in a bubble, and these guys are going to ride this as a team ride all the way to the end now. So a little bit about this course now. They went over this big hill. They're dropping into the jungle now. They're basically going to descend all the way down into this jungle, almost down to the starting elevation. You actually go down quite a bit here. And I call it, it's a little lollipop course. You go out here, you're going to do a circle, and you're going to come right back out on the road that you came in on. And you're going to have to climb all the way back up. The climb coming out is much more gradual. It's a long, sustained climb of about 3 to 4%. So much more drafting available coming back up out of the jungle here. But definitely a pain point within the race that you can really push some people as well. So here at the front of the race, we have S. Ito, the +1 S rider. I'm not going to try to butcher that name, and Mizutani are all up here. These guys look like they are in the lead at this point and have about a minute and a half over the lead zone riders. And Vitor, Mateus, and Tajima look like they are in the gap in between. Unfortunately, due to that new European privacy laws that came out last week, we are limited on some of our secondary tools that we use for racing right now. Zwift tells us that they are working hard to get all of that squared away and work with the third-party partners like CVR and Zwift Power to get us back online as soon as possible. So until that happens, guys, I ask for patience with the race organizers and with the other racers, as we are a little bit limited in the information that we have available about riders and their riding history and things like that while we are racing. But I'm sure that they will get that all straightened away really quick. The important part is they are protecting Zwift and what it is from any trouble through those government agencies from privacy, so we can continue to get on the platform and have fun. So it's not always exactly what we want it to be, but we appreciate Zwift taking the steps to protect themselves from any sort of trouble so they can continue to provide an awesome platform for us. And we will be patient with them while they work on that. So coming up next week for CVR World Cup bracket racing, next week we'll be on Greater London Reverse. which will have a pretty significant 5 to 6 minute climb up. I believe it's called Fox Hill. It is the backside of Box Hill that they will be climbing up right out of the start-finish line. They'll go a mile or two and go straight up the hill. So that ought to be a fun one and blow things apart really early in the race next week as well. Stay tuned. We will be having these races every Tuesday the next 3 weeks. This Tuesday, June 12th and June 19th. That will conclude the postseason on June 19th. The winner of the A bracket postseason will get an invitation to the third quarter CVR World Cup final that is yet to be announced as a location, but they will be invited to that. The lower brackets get the bragging rights to say that they are the CVR World Champion in their individual brackets. And here we have a nice little attack at the front of the race. Cito and the +1S rider are getting after it, dropping the power up. They have not went through a bracket or through a they have not went through any banners yet. They just went through a banner, and that's going through that banner. They have lost their ability to use power-ups, but they are using this power-up to their advantage. And can Mizutani do the dig to get back to it? He is holding 6.6. He's pushing hard. It's 7 seconds. I'm not sure if he's got the push here to get back to it, so we'll keep it on him for a minute. He is holding more power than the guys in front of him. It looks like he may close this down if he can sustain this power for a little bit longer. We're going to keep it here, and we're going to go side by side. We want to get an update on how the ladies are doing here on the right-hand side of the screen. The ladies have brought this together, and they now have got a 2-lady bunch going here. Isney and Asperheim are riding together, riding this course. Looks like we have heart rates at 148, and Isney is at 164. So looks like Hilda is riding with Isney at this point. Based on heart rates, assuming they have reasonably traditional max heart rates, which that's a pretty big assumption, that Hilda probably has a little more gas in the tank right now than Isley does, but Inslee. Sorry, I'm butchering names today. Looks like Mizutani has pulled back in front of that group as well. So a little bit of Zwift news I saw this morning, guys. I don't know how much you guys keep up on Zwift news. I don't know if this was not an official announcement from Zwift, I don't think, but I spotted a link to Bicycle Magazine, I believe it was, that was posted on Facebook, and it had some Zwift official logos on it, so I think it is real. We have a new map coming. It looks like Zwift is doing, the UCI World Championships are in, I believe it was Austria this year. And rumor is sometime between now and August, we will have a new UCI World Championships map come available, similar to what they did for Richmond a few years ago. They're going to map the UCI World Championships map into the game, and we may possibly have a 4th map available in Zwift. So I was excited to see that this morning. It had been a while since we've seen anything like that come out of Zwift. We've had some new courses on existing maps, but to have a new map, the last new map I believe was the London map, and it's been a while. So some exciting Zwift news for you guys. Sharing that. Hopefully that's not a big spoiler for anybody at Zwift HQ. You know, I saw it on the internet, so it's got to be true. But based on what I saw, the source and the branding and stuff that was involved with it, I'm pretty sure it was not a big, closely held secret at this point, or Bicycle Magazine would not have published that article. So getting a status here of the guys, reminder of who is here and who is battling for brackets. So battling for brackets today in the men, we'll go through these one at a time. We're going to slide back a little bit here in the race. We're going to get back here to our buddy Scott. And actually, in order to get Scott, we're going to give Scott, because he has been so faithful at doing this for us, we're going to get Scott here on the big screen. Scott led this out for us has raced and streamed this D race for us every single race for the entire season. So we appreciate Scott streaming for us. Scott was going head-to-head against Mark Cottenham today. Did not look like Mark made it to the start line for whatever reason. So Scott just has to complete the race today, and he will move on to the next round in the bracket. So congratulations to Scott. Keep the rubber side down and get to the finish line. And keep bringing us those streams, buddy. He's got an awesome looking stream here. He's got his team logo up there, WBR for World Bicycle Relief. We love those guys over there. Always has accurate course information at the bottom, elevation, number of laps, distance. It just does an awesome job streaming for us. So I appreciate that, Scott. Thank you for all your hard work, and congratulations on your bracket promotion today. So you'll move on to next week and be fighting the next round of the brackets. Next up in the brackets, we're in the men's group. Jason Flores against Ryan Goldenberg in the C bracket. And Ryan Goldenberg fell off a little bit early in the race, coming out of the Ocean Road Tunnel. Lost contact with the group, and you can see here just 2 places ahead of him on course, but unfortunately separated by 2 minutes, is Jason Flores, his opponent in the head-to-head racing. So 2.5 minutes separate those. You can see here, I believe Ryan maybe brought a knife to a gunfight. Team ODZ came out with all barrels loaded. You can see the jerseys strung out in front of Jason here. It is hard to compete with the type of numbers that ODZ brings out here, unless you just have a huge fitness advantage over your opponent. It is really hard to fight off those kind of numbers that come out in force against you. So Jason Flores is in a perfect position here, but we have all had those times, right? It takes one dropout, it takes one technical problem, it takes one minor car accident or lightning bolt to hit a telephone pole to take Jason Flores straight out of the back of this race. So my advice to Ryan is push, give everything you've got, and you never know what's going to happen here. So keep digging here, J-Flow. And just here ahead of Jason Flores, Tex Divine, or Mr. I Am Batman, as a lot of the ODZ guys know him. Tex was going head-to-head today against Team X member Rick Woods, and Rick did not make it to the start line today as well. So Tex is going to move on out of this bracket. All he has to do is successfully complete the race, and he has earned his promotion to next week's bracket racing, where he will have to face off against another competitor and have to get those teammates rallied again for him. So these guys are coming near to the top of the climb, getting out of the jungle circuit again. I always love going across that bridge, and it's a good place in the race. They got a little bit more climbing to do once they get back to what I call the little lollipop stick here. There's a stick that goes out to this circle. They got a little climbing to go up there, and then they'll roll back down the side of the mountain. So that's a little bit of update on the bracket for the men. Jumping back over to the ladies real quick. In the ladies, the brackets that we had scheduled up for today in the C zone, which we are watching here, was H. Asperheim versus Gail Anthony. Gail was not on the start line today, so Hilda will move on in this race. We still have a good head-to-head race going here with Hilda and Inslee. So they will battle it out to the finish, and we will keep an eye on that and make sure we catch the finish of their race. Right now they're riding together and seem to be working together, and Hilda will move on to next week's bracket for the ladies B bracket racing. Gonna jump up to the front of the men's race now and see what is going on there. Got some shout outs going on over at Facebook. 8-kilometer climb on the new course. That's good info to have, Frank Deal. Thanks for dropping in. Okay, and I am getting confirmation that Zwift is also sharing this information about the new course now, so that's good to know. I know I just spotted it this morning, didn't have a lot of time, and it was, I believe, a Bicycle Magazine article that I caught it in. Yeah, got a comment here. These head-to-heads are hard or impossible if you don't have a strong team to help you. If you have fairly equal skill level with your opponent, the friends and family power up that you get, the friends and family advantage you get by having teammates come out there, people to pull you along, is definitely worth a lot in the race. It's worth a lot from what it does for you physically, being able to have those guys there to help you, but it also does a lot for you mentally. You will find if you race in this type of environments, you are typically willing to dig a little deeper because you don't want to let your teammates down. They came out to help me. I'm going to do everything I can for them to not let them down. And that's a big mental difference within the race. And it's very defeating for your opponent. It's very intimidating for your opponent to see those numbers there. Even if you bring out 4 guys that aren't strong enough to really help you, just the presence of 4 teammates on the start line and in the pack is intimidating. I hate to give away too much writing tactics sometimes, but I think it's important for people to understand kind of the mental aspect of racing as well. So one of the things I talk about a lot is, even if you can't get into that pack, and that's a new windmill on the left-hand side of the road, guys. Sorry, it's like, was it squirrel? My ADD kind of kicked in there. A new windmill on the side of the road there where we just went by. But the mental aspect within the game, even if you are unable to really help the guy in the race, if you can fight just to stay in the pack, that could prevent the opponent from doing something like launching an attack or something like that, because in his head he's thinking he's got friends here, his friends are going to pull back my attack, cover my attack, protect him, and they're going to alter their strategy because you are present. Even if you, and the opponent doesn't know that you're not capable of doing anything to really help, but you're there. And just the fact of you being there on the screen and being a part of it will intimidate that opponent a little bit and create that advantage. So there's so much that goes into that sort of team racing. So Mizutani and S. Ito are in the lead right now, coming down the mountain, going towards start finish. We will try to drop back here and check out a little further back in the pack as we get down the hill a little bit further. And we have a question over at Mixer that that's a tough one to answer. How is this fun? The definition of fun is different for a lot of different people. So what this is this is a massive multiplayer online platform for cycling, and a good vision of what is going on with these riders we will put up here. We'll go with our 3 screen here. You can see our buddy Scott here on the left hand side of the screen. Everybody that is racing in this race has a setup similar to what you see Scott on here. These are not guys with the controllers. These are guys on a bike sweating. Guys or ladies on their bikes, putting out hard efforts, sweating, really suffering. So what is fun about this is it adds a little bit of virtual reality. It adds a little bit of a fun riding dynamic to indoor cycling and indoor cycling training. So what is fun about this is it adds a different level of interaction to what is typically a really boring and tough task, which is riding your bike indoors on a trainer. So what Zwift and CVR have created here is they've taken this awesome platform which Zwift has created and incorporated racing leagues into it. So fun may not be the term that everyone uses to describe it. I think it's fun, but it's also very hard, very painful, and you definitely suffer. But it pushes me to a level that I would not normally do on my bike indoors, and that is what is so awesome about it. So and then yeah, you suffer, you get about 3/4 of the way through a race and you say, why am I doing this? This is miserable, this is awful. You come across the start finish line, and the first thing you do after you catch your breath is when can I do this again? When can I chase somebody again? When can I battle with somebody again? The Twitch Rapper, no problem, man. I'm glad you asked the question because it gave me the opportunity to describe a little bit better. Sometimes we forget that our audience is not familiar with Zwift at all. So you can see here what is different about this versus a typical video game. There is no legitimate way to play this game without sitting on your bike and pedaling. So every single person you see on the screen is sitting on a bike, pedaling the pedals, and suffering. If you look in the upper left-hand side of the screen, let's go back to a full screen here. You see the rider stats in the upper left-hand side of the screen. The number of watts that they are putting out is flashing in white here, 322, 300. Those number of watts, that is the same watts as a unit of measurement that you would see on a light bulb. So a 100-watt light bulb would be equivalent to 100 watts somebody putting out into their pedals here. So as Jason Flores puts out 257 watts, he is able to power 2.5 100-watt light bulbs. So, and then below his watts, you will see beats per minute, BPM on a heart rate. That is his current heart rate. So you go to the doctor, you get your physical, they check your pulse. Typically your pulse is going to run, your resting heart rate's going to run anywhere from in the 50s up into maybe the 80s, the 90s. You can see here Jason is double that right now. He is sitting at 169 heart rate, so definitely suffering, got that heart rate elevated. So just gives you a little perspective of what these guys are actually going through in the race. So here we go. We see a little bit of action now. They have gotten over the hill, having a little fun. Boyko looks like he did a little kick off the front. I think this was what I call a fake attack. Adam probably was just a little bit off the back, did a little effort, came through the pack and jumped off the front. So yeah, the comment of controllers would be awesome. These guys are pushing hard here to catch Vitor actually as well. Vitor may be dropping back or just riding here on his own. You can look over Vitor's shoulder, and Vitor is rocking the awesome beard today. You can see that pack catching him, and they'll catch him and join up. Controllers would be awesome from a road placement perspective. We always want more with Zwift. Right now, we control the amount of power that goes into our pedals, but we don't control road placement. The Zwift, the game algorithm, controls whether we ride behind a rider, off to the side, where you are as far as road placement. The only real controls we have as far as roads go is at specific intersections we can choose to turn right or left when we are not in an event. These guys are in an event, so they are locked into a specific sequence of turns. It would be cool in the future if Zwift could incorporate a way for us to control road placement as well. Right or left, you can choose to tuck into a draft, or you can choose to ride off to the side, that sort of thing. But you know, we've got a lot of things that would be pretty awesome to have, and I'm sure Zwift will work its way down their priority list and get to those at some point in the future. Okay, what do I mean by attack? So if you look at the right hand side of the screen, we'll get a little bit of education into what we're looking at here. You see all these names of the riders nearby. Underneath each one of those names, there is a number that's kind of changing, typically in the 3s or 4s, sometimes down in the 2s, with a W-kg underneath it. That is watts per kilogram. That is the number of watts they're putting out divided by the kilograms that they weigh. So it's relevant to the amount of power they're putting out. When I say someone is attacking, they're gonna... I'm watching that right-hand side of the screen, and I'm watching for a big number here. Right now, Jason Flores is putting out 4.6. He's putting out more than everybody, and he's rolling to the front of the group. When I see someone attack, I think if those numbers go over 7, they turn orange. So one key thing to look for toward the end of a race, when someone is really going to put in a strong attack, you're going to see those numbers flash orange, and you're going to see a rider shoot through the pack and take off. So typically my visual cues of someone attacking is either those numbers going orange on the right hand side of the screen, or physically seeing a person quickly come through this group and go take off the front a little bit. So my cue earlier was Adam Boyko came flying past the rider I was watching, and he went all the way to the front of the group, and he kind of kept going off the front of the group a little bit, and that's what I referenced as an attack at that point in time. So I'm going to slide forward just a little bit here, and hopefully we can see. Looks like the +1 S rider is going to run away with this at 20 seconds, or maybe 15 seconds off the front right now, coming through this intersection. And let's not forget about our ladies racing now. It looks like Hilda has dropped Inslee now and is coming down the hill solo. So it looks like Hilda has used that power in reserve to roll away from that battle back there. +1 S rider is going to roll off the front here and take the win. We should end up with some sort of sprint or competition between Mizutani and S Ito here. So we're going to stay on them. We're coming up to a final little hill prior to start finish. We probably only have about 2 miles till the end of the race now. So we're really going to watch for those big attacks and things like that we're talking about. Right coming up at this next sign, they're going to take a right-hand bend, and it's going to go up these couple switchbacks. You're going to see some attacking, I think, here between Mizutani and S Ito. They're going to go hard up this hill. We'll see if they stick together here or if somebody tries to get away. You can see, as I described earlier, you can see those numbers growing. You can see S Ito goes orange, and Mizutani responds to that with some orange numbers of his own. Remember, there is drafting in this game, so as long as that pace is above about 15 or 18 miles an hour, there is an advantage to being behind a rider. You can use their draft a little bit. So this was a pretty soft climb. They did a little bit of a dig going up to this platform that they're on now, but then they backed right back off. So it does not look like that they are going to try to break one another on this climb. Mizutani ramps it up a little bit. There's a little bit of a dig here, and then it's going to flatten out for the most part to start finish. So Mizutani looks like and Sito are going to stay together. So we're going to keep an eye on them out of the corner of our eye, and we're going to drop back and watch this larger pack coming in, because they're also going to come up that climb. And I believe with this larger pack, we're going to see a little more action back here. So I want to watch S Ito and those guys finish the race, but I don't want to lose this pack either. So we're going to be challenged a little bit here to hopefully keep this together, and trying to get my mobile app to an appropriate place that maybe will help me keep an eye on both parts of this race is the hope. So these guys are going up that same climb that we just watched the leaders go up, and you're going to see, I think somebody's going to go orange numbers here. Here you see Vitor Mateus, and he is digging at the front. You're going to look over his shoulder, and he has backed off out of the orange numbers, but you can see he's pulling hard at the front. And if they kick a little bit, there's some stragglers. It's really stringing out now. That guy at the back of the pack is in a little bit of a hurt now. He is still in the draft, but this is really strung out. You can see here, this is Jason Flores right at the back of the pack. And guys, see, Kettleson has fallen off. So Jason Flores, Vitor Mateus, these guys, there's a little bit of a gap now off the back of this pack. I think Kettleson is going to lose the pack here, and I think Reichert might lose it as well. He's 9-10 meters off the back, and he's going to have to push hard to catch back on. And we have Tex Divine. Tajima is pushing off the front now at 4.4. So will ODZ put in a big chase to catch him, or will they let that go? So guys, we are watching postseason. The regular season is over, and those finalists have been named. We'll go over those at the end of the race. Those guys are going to be going to Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and competing for the winner to bring home at least $10,000 in prize money. So this is a big deal to make it to the finals, and it's going to be awesome to see. They got a new format coming. If you guys haven't seen that, we'll talk a little bit about that here as we get the race over. We're going to see this chase going. Tajima's off the front, but he is not Team ODZ. So ODZ is coming to the front here. Andy Jenner, Tex Divine, Adam Boyko. These guys are going to take turns pulling, and I believe they're going to pull this back. This is where those teams come in handy. Almost this entire chase pack here is Team ODZ. Looking over the shoulder here, I count 5 ODZ jerseys against 3 other riders. So if you are going to go off the front, you are going to have to hold off the battle, the combined effort of 5 other guys, I believe, to stay away. And Tajima's not giving it up, but it looks like Boyko has all but closed that down now. And there is the catch. We've got less than a mile to go. I will not be surprised to see a counterattack here. And nobody is countering, so I'm not sure who to expect here in a sprint. We've got Tex Devine and Jason Flores are both bracket racers today. They have both pretty much locked up their brackets at this point. They just have to make it to the finish line in this pack, and they have won their brackets for the day. So I'm not sure who they're going to race this for. Jason Flores puts in a little dig, but it looks like that was just a little catch to get up the hill. Let's see how they go to the start finish line. So we're at about, I think, 600 meters to go or so here at the Rock Tunnel. This is a point where people can launch a really long sprint if they want to go. There's a slight downhill, and right at the bottom of this downhill, the start finish line will come into sight. We will have a big sprint here. And there, Jason Flores kicks early, but he didn't go hard. I'm not sure what that kick was. Jason is leading this pack out. No one has really initiated the big sprint here. You're going to see every one of these guys launch orange numbers here in a second. But nobody wants to instigate. And this is a fast lead out. There is the start finish line coming into sight around the corner, and there's still not a big launch. And there goes the launch. Adam Boyko, Bite Me's on the front right now, and it looks like Tajima, Bite Me, Tajima, J-Flow, Tex Divine, Adam Boyko, Kettleson, trying to drop back here to not lose the race. So we're going to watch Reichardt here come down the hill, and hopefully we can get further back into the race before he crosses the finish line. We're also going to kick over to the ladies race here. So we've got Asperheim rolling into the finish now. And Reichardt was nice enough to back off the pace here, actually, and let me hopefully get a chance to get further back into the pack here. I'm not sure if anybody's going to catch up or not. We may lose the pack in the men's race here, and it looks like we will. So based on this course, we kind of have a hard time keeping a hold of the pack. So we're going to keep the ladies race over here on Asperheim. Well, we talk a little bit about this upcoming CVR World Cup finale, and we update you on the brackets and what is going on. So we just finished the Spring 2008 CVR Series. The men that were your Global Zone winners listed here: Gavin Dempster, James Phillips, Sadeo Akibe, Lionel Jason, Steve Young, Greg Leo, Scotty Weiss, and Scott Cunningham. Those guys in yellow on the left that I just named, they got in due to their performance in the league and being the top finisher within their section of the league, or by it rolling down if someone was unable to attend. And then the invites, or the wild cards, were Joan Gravdahl and Joachim Plujmers, who both also competed in the league, have completed in the league both seasons and done very well. So they were awarded a wild card invite to the race. One thing to note too here with the men, so there were a few guys that were unable to make it for different reasons, kind of outside of their, I don't know if it's outside their control, but for some outside things. One specifically to call out, Mr. Christensen was not able to come due to getting signed with a pro contract. So congratulations to him. There's nothing that says a pro contract prevents you from doing CVR World Cup, but I believe he had some scheduling conflicts due to that pro contract. So, but congratulations to him, and that just kind of gives you an idea of the level of talent that's competing in this. We've got guys getting awarded pro contracts while they're racing in the league. I believe that's the second one now that has competed in the leagues that has ended up with a pro contract. You have guys like Scotty Weiss who hold World Championship jerseys. And then I know a lot of these other guys are very, very strong racers. Gavin Dempster, won, I believe, the European Kiss Crit Series. Greg Leo was the points competition winner at the North America Crit Series. You know, all these guys have worked really hard. Sadeo Akibe is coming to CVR World Cup in back-to-back CVR World Cups. I believe he is the only repeat participant or back-to-back participant in the current CVR. He was in LA, and he is also for the men doing Vancouver. I do believe we've got some repeats in the ladies as well. So this is your men finalists. They'll be going head-to-head in June 23rd and 24th in Vancouver. They'll be competing for $10,000 will go to the first place finisher there, and that is both true for the men and the women. So we've got the ladies brackets here. Dixie Newsom, Beth York, Claudia Baring, Lucy Collins, Esther Meisels, Mary Wilkinson, Vicky Whitelaw, Allison Kubota, Jennifer Reel, and Jana Gillick. I believe our repeats here, some special call outs here. Beth York, co-commentator here on CVR World Cup, does some awesome job commentating for us. Beth's an awesome lady. Congratulations to her going back to back here. Allison Kubota was in LA as well, did really well there. Claudia Baring, recent signed with Team Draft online, and killer triathlete, and has done a few of these as well. As Jennifer Reel, Esther Meisels. Esther's racing a ton outdoors, doing a great job. So a lot of familiar names here in the ladies race. A lot of them were in LA. I did get a chance to meet Dixie Newsom in LA as well. She was not racing, but she was there supporting her team. So these are the ladies that will be going to Vancouver to compete for those prizes as well. Another exciting thing, if you haven't been following along, go check out that CVR World Cup Facebook page. They have announced just last week, I believe over the weekend, they put out the Racing Bible for the upcoming Vancouver event. And that includes a whole new race format, points format. They've got a cool new system set up to do points racing in the game. There's multiple points paying spots throughout the course. So you are no longer just racing for a finish line. You're going to be racing for points prizes throughout the race. And the overall winners are going to be named, and the dollars are going to be paid out at the end of the day based on overall points. Should change the racing dynamic. How you approach the race, how you strategize the race is going to be completely different. And I'm not sure what to expect from it. I think we always form an idea in our head of how that's going to play out prior to racing, but then you get into a race and you're like, oh, I never thought of this, or I never thought of that. So until we witness that format a little bit, I'm not sure what to expect, other than I know things are going to happen that I didn't expect, and there's going to be action throughout the race. So make sure you tune in to cycleview.tv or cycleview.cvrworldcup.com and check that out on June 23rd and 24th. That is also where you can find us every Tuesday. We have these races, the postseason for the next 3 weeks. We'll be over there at cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. Races are every 3 hours throughout the day. We are in Zone C race right now. That's what you are watching. There'll be, so we are the third race of the day. There'll be 5 more races after us, staggered every 3 hours throughout the day, over there at cycleview.tv or cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. So make sure you jump over there and watch us. Make sure you follow us on the Facebook page to get all that CVR World Cup news. And update real quick, we'll run through the brackets fairly quickly here. This is your men's D bracket. Scott Arista will move on in what we just watched now. Mike Shizmansky has already ridden this morning, and he will move on to next week. And then later on today in the G zone, we will watch Jason Economo and Bob Horn go head-to-head in the G bracket a little bit later today. In the ladies C bracket, Jennifer Brown, Jason Vogel, Lisa Hines get a pass for today. They get a bye. They just have to show up and start the race, and they will be finishing. And I apologize, Hilda Asperheim just crossed the finish line. She has officially earned her spot to move on to next week, and she is the winner of today's ladies race as well. But back to the brackets here. Gemma Anchors and Leslie Miller will be going head-to-head in the E bracket today. Go Gemma. Gemma has a close affiliation with a teammate and good friend of mine, so got to be a little biased there, and we're going to root for Gemma. I hope you do awesome. I will be watching Gemma. Unfortunately, I won't be racing. Wish I could come race for Kim in that race, but I cannot make that work. Here we go. Bracket B, men's race. Jeff Rooney has beaten Michael Richter already this morning. Tex Divine moves on. So next week it is Jeff Rooney against Tex Divine. We do not know which time frame that they will be racing in quite yet, but it would be awesome if I get an opportunity to call that race. And if I can't call that race, I'm going to try to race for my buddy Jeff there and see if we can help him out. Coming up in the E zone, Moti Pekelny and Jeff Kunha racing one another. I got a little bias for Moti there. I met Moti in LA and he's an awesome guy, but we'll see how that one goes. And then Juan Ignacio and Steve Fung are gonna race later in the H race in that bracket. So that was men's bracket B. Women bracket D. These are both later today. Clara Snowden against Amy Goldberson and Tina Whitfield against Angela Pitzer. Looks like we've got coming up in Zone E and Zone H. Men A bracket. Jeffrey Creel has moved on, beaten Steven Ludendorff in the next race today. Jim McQuaid will take on Gregor Buchholz in the D race. Kim Little against Kai Barrett in Zone E. That should be a good battle. Go Kim Little. And Shane Gaffney against Bjorn Osenbrink in the F zone later today. So awesome racing coming up there. The men's A bracket's always fun to watch because they're always there at the front of the race. Looks like the races here that are going to be head-to-head, Cheryl Muldoon and Eva Buchholz in Zone E, and S. Osenbrink and Anja Lewendorf in Zone E as well. So if you want to watch the women A bracket do any racing today as far as head-to-head, the E bracket, it looks to be where it's at. They are all racing in the E bracket today, so that ought to be a good, fun race. Bracket C for the men. I don't know the status of Andy Norton and Gary Delport. They already raced this morning. We do know Jason Flores beat Ryan Goldenberg, so J-Flo will move on and race the winner of Andy Norton and Gary Delport. Fraser White, Harry Roberts, and Frank Levesque and RC Ivney race later today in the H zone. So good luck to those guys. And what do we have left? One more bracket. And last but not least, bracket B for the ladies. Tina Grobler, Sarah Thompson racing Zone E. Hilda Asperheim has just moved on over Gail Anthony in Zone C, so she will move on and face the winner of Katie Potier and Angela Pitzer. Katie, I believe I met in LA as well. So those are our brackets for the day, and back to reminder of these are your winners. Moving on to the finalists. Remember, come back every 3 hours, guys. I appreciate that nice comment over there from Matt Brandt. I appreciate everybody that jumps in here and watches these. I typically do the C zone every week for these races when I am available. Luckily today, I actually am jumping on an airplane here in a few hours, but I was able to squeeze this one in today. We'll be back for 2 more weeks of postseason work, and then we got a little bit of off-season coming, and then preseason. Right now, tentatively, the next league season will start in early August, so kind of pencil that in on your calendar. It is not official yet. It's not set in stone and has not been officially scheduled yet, but looks like we're looking at early August, maybe that first week in August, to start off that next league. So keep that in the top of your calendar there as a goal if you want to come out and see what this is all about and participate. You've got about 6-8 weeks to get prepared for that, get into the preseason, or jump right into the season feet first in August. So until then, we're going to be watching the lead up into these finales in Vancouver and watching these postseason battles. So appreciate everybody for coming out. Make sure that you go follow us on Mixer. CVR World Cup is streaming live to Mixer on every one of these broadcasts. We have our own proprietary video site as well at cycleview.tv or cycleview.cvrworldcup.com. Go check us out there. There's a lot of cool features there, including chat, multiple views, different riders streaming. And you can stream to that. If you are a rider, go over there and get signed up. Say, how do I stream? Click those buttons, get those links. You can stream yourself over there as well. If you're part of the league, you want to do that streaming and get extra points for it. If you want to know all the news going on with CVR, big announcements, what's going on, you got to go to Facebook. You got to follow CVRWorldCup.com. That's where you're going to get all your key information about what are the dates, what are the formats, who's racing who, what are the results, what are the brackets. All that stuff's going to be over on the Facebook page. So make sure you're going over there and following that. And if you want to talk about CVR World Cup, there's also an awesome Facebook page called CVR World Cup /community, and that's where people like you and I can go out there and chat and ask questions and have conversations specifically about the CVR World Cup League and have a little bit of community interaction. So make sure you go over there and follow that page as well if you want to chat and get a little more engaged with all things CVR World Cup when it comes to competition. So thanks guys for hanging out with me this morning. I appreciate it. It's always a good start to my Tuesday morning. I'll be watching some races throughout the day. Congratulations to the racers today that moved on in their brackets. I'm excited for next week. I hope Zone C is full of a bunch of head-to-head races again next week. So if you're bracket racing and you get an opportunity to be asked, when do I want to race next week? You want to race in Zone C because I want some awesome action to call for you guys next week as well. So give me a little love, guys. Pick Zone C. Come do your bracket racing in my zone. I would love to call you out there. So, but until next week, remember, guys, there'll be races here all day today. I won't be calling those. We'll have our awesome guys over at CVR, Chris Haskell, Frank Garcia, Beth York. They'll be here throughout the day calling different races. So make sure you tune in and watch those as well. As for me and my day of calling races is done. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you all next week. Have a good week.
I'll take the chance and roll the dice. Just wanna feel the stars around. The atmosphere never to come down. I'll stand alone where the